The little girl who loved monsters. There once lived a king and a queen, and they lived in a beautiful castle. Their kingdom was called Gemstone Kingdom. Their beautiful castle was surrounded by a gorgeous green forest. But in this forest lived monsters. And for all their life they never ventured deep into the forest. Rather, they would go around, which would extend their travels, just to stay away from the monsters that lived in the forest. Their kingdom was happy and safe as long as these monsters did not come in. One day, the king and queen had a baby, and the kingdom rejoiced and was so excited. The baby's name was Ruby. She had bright red curls from the day she was born. Ruby was adventurous and fun and full of life. She loved to run around and get to know all the people in her kingdom. Everyone would watch over her. They wanted her to stay safe and within the kingdom. But Princess Ruby was very curious. When nobody was looking, she would venture out into the forest. She loved being out in the forest. It was green and quiet and beautiful. She always thought, how could this be dangerous out here? One day she was skipping along down a forest trail when she heard a noise. And she creeped around the corner to see what she could find. And to her surprise, it was one of the monsters. She knew right away that this was no scary monster, for he was as friendly as could be. So they played together, and the monster introduced her to all the monster friends in the forest. She loved the monsters. She even dressed like them sometimes. Knowing that her kingdom and her mother and father, king and queen, would be scared of the monster, she played secretly for a long time in the forest. But one day, a villager traveling along the road saw her playing with the monsters, and the villager ran back to the kingdom. He went straight to the king and queen and told them right away, with fear that something bad would happen to the princess. So when the princess arrived home later that day, she had to explain herself. She begged and pleaded with the king and queen. Please accept the monsters, but they were too scared. She kept asking for many days, begging and pleading. Please, just meet them. They're kind and they mean no harm. And the king and queen finally agreed. As soon as they met the monsters, they were no longer scared. And so they made a royal announcement to the village. Do not be afraid of the monsters, for they are our friends. And so, Ruby, the king and queen, along with the kingdom and all of the monsters from the forest, lived happily ever after. The end.